Welcome to Feelings, your personal feedback. Feelings are one of those intangible things that you can't put a finger on, you can't put it in a box, you can't sell it at a store. And yet they are so powerful that they influence and alter lives about as much as anything in this world. So in this video, we're going to explore a lot of different aspects about feelings that can help you understand them better and help you make better decisions regarding them. Feelings is part of the Love and Life Skills series for healing the relationships with yourself and others. Compiled and presented by me, Helen Bair. I'm going to assume that you've already watched the video on thinking, which is the precursor to feelings. If not, try to watch it next because feelings and thinking go hand in hand. If you're on YouTube and need directions, you can find those on the notes below. The logical conscious mind gets to choose the thoughts and perceptions it puts onto every life experience. Then the subconscious mind creates emotions that are a direct response, or what I'm calling feedback, to those thought choices. If negative emotions are not vented and released at the time they happen, they go into storage in memory and give you long-term feedback that continually, over time, reflects those same emotions, perceptions, and beliefs that you concluded with the original events that were never released at the time. This is when today's emotions get confusing, because some of the feelings you're experiencing right now may not even be related to what's happening today. They may stem from events that happened 5, 15, or 50 years ago, and they're still giving you feedback today. So I'm not going to spend any more time on that concept because I already have a video made about it. If you're interested in watching that video, log on to findingthehealer.com, look for the SRT introductory videos, and watch video number 2, Emotions. Notice the difference in how I've depicted the word thinking and the word feelings. To me, the difference in how these two words look is the difference in how they operate. Feelings can be felt in your mind or in your body, and they can seem like they're just all over the place. They can be logical or irrational, pleasant or troublesome. We live with them every day, but sometimes we don't know what to do with them. We make a lot of our decisions based on them, don't we? So it's wise to learn how to understand where your feelings are coming from and why, and how to use them in ways that will help you instead of hurt you. Here we go. To my understanding, feelings stem from the right side of your brain and are reactions to the thoughts and perceptions chosen by the conscious mind. I learned in my early childhood home that it was not okay to express certain feelings. Only happy emotions were acceptable. So if my feelings got hurt, I learned to just act as if nothing was wrong and speak nothing of it. The problem was that without releasing my feelings, all those stings and owies were locked inside of me, and they seemed to compound through the years. I was in my late 30s before I realized the depression I felt inside, regardless of the smiles I plastered on my face. That was when I learned that if you can't feel it, you can't heal it. So I began allowing myself to feel and vent my locked up emotions. My parents' intention of trying to have a happy, peaceful home were good, but today I believe it's better to create real peace, not just the illusion of it. The real challenge is learning to vent and communicate feelings in non-abusive ways. Once the problem gets addressed and resolved in a healthy way, then everyone can return to a real state of peace. But this requires working through difficulties on occasion. But if done effectively, they're just bumps in the road, not life-shattering. Feelings are a pure form of internal feedback. Feelings are your personal barometer, news bulletin, or indicator light on your dashboard. Now, if the engine light comes on in your car, would you cut the wire? Or would you investigate to find out what's wrong so you can fix it? Well, in the same way, instead of suppressing or ignoring unpleasant feelings, you might want to investigate what's causing it so you can do something about it. Feelings are neither right nor wrong. They are just feedback. If you feel good a majority of the time without the assistance of mind-altering drugs or addictions, then keep doing what you're doing. But if not, recognize that even unpleasant feelings are actually blessings, because like a receipt gives you an accounting of your purchases, feelings are telling you about the quality of your life. When a hammer hits your finger, your body's pain sensation gives you honest feedback. It may not be pleasant, but it's real. The feeling probably inspires you to handle the hammer differently next time, doesn't it? When a parent disciplines a child, the hope is that the physical pain will provide the kind of motivation that inspires the child to make better choices in the future. Now, unfortunately, using physical pain for discipline may not be the best choice, but we'll talk more about that in the parenting chapter. The point I'm trying to make is that sometimes inflicting pain or allowing one to feel one's pain can be meant to inspire better choices. Then on the other hand, pleasant feelings can do the same thing. For example, this child is having a very nurturing encounter, which may make this child think, gee, I'm special, I'm heard, thus inspiring the child to make good choices in order to get more positive reinforcement. So positive or negative feelings can be a motivator. A sliver lodged under the skin is a foreign intruder. The body gives pain signals that motivate your conscious mind to pull it out and treat the wound so it won't get infected. Well, in the same way, unresolved feelings from painful memories can be like emotional slivers, only they're inside. They're just letting you know that something is wrong, which will hopefully motivate you to fix it as well. But because emotional slivers are intangible and you can't just get a hold of them and pull them out, you may try to avoid the pain by medicating, numbing out, intellectualizing, or escaping with some defense mechanism. You know you can't just ignore a physical sliver, and in the same way you can't ignore emotional slivers anymore because they get worse as well. You see, all of these painful feelings that we're just shoving down and trying to get rid of accumulate in memory over time, and they will continue to give you feedback even if you're trying to get away from them. So instead of letting your emotional pain make you miserable, let it motivate you to do something about it. So I'm going to give you some ideas about how you can make that happen. So here's an example of an emotional sliver. I am not good enough, which is a common belief, but it's a false belief. We know that God don't make no junk, right? So we can assume that the feelings that this person is getting are a reflection of a false belief. That's all they are. This person obviously has an emotional sliver caused from something that happened some time ago. Focusing on the feelings and trying to pick up what they're telling this guy, he may be able to actually realize the root cause. In this case, let's say it's a very young part of him that holds the belief that something is wrong with him because of the way he was treated many years ago. With this awareness, he can take measures to change the belief of this infant self into something like, I am good enough, which will then automatically change his feelings. Wisdom is to not snuff out negative feelings and not make your decisions based on them alone. Just let them be your guide to help you be aware that there's a problem and then to help you heal it. Here's some other things your feelings might be trying to tell you. If your rights are being violated, if you're in the right or wrong occupation, about the quality of your self-care, if your life is in or out of balance. Maybe it's your conscience telling you you're doing something wrong. Or it may be telling you about the quality of your relationships. Feelings are always real, but they're not always accurate. Here's an example. Gary has resentment towards his wife. If he uses emotion only to make his decisions, he may decide to leave her. But if he looks for the root cause of his feelings, he may find that she just reminds him of maybe his mother, whom he has unresolved issues with. Well, once he resolves those issues, the feelings he has towards his wife may just disappear. Or feelings may be the hidden motive for failure and self-neglect, such as Fred, who wanted to become an astronaut, but his fear caused him to remain in his dead-end job. Or Jerry, who is overloaded because she feels guilty if she ever takes time to think of herself. So, which are the good feelings and which are the bad ones? Well, here's my answer. All feelings can be good or bad, depending on how you choose to use them. Here's some examples. Let's start with fear. Toxic fear can be incapacitating, such as worrying so much or failing to resolve traumatic events from your life that you develop phobias and anxiety attacks. But it can also be healthy if you only hold on to the fear long enough to let it warn you to get yourself out of harm's way, lock your doors, fasten your seat belts to keep yourself safe, and then let it go. Toxic shame says, I'm no good. There's something wrong with me. Healthy shame means that you try to be humble and you don't go out into public naked. Toxic guilt means you continue to punish yourself long after your offense is over and has been properly taken care of. Healthy guilt inspires you to make amends and restitution for offenses and motivates you to make better decisions in the future, but then you let it go. Externally dependent people who believe they should never take care of themselves may experience toxic guilt when they begin taking care of themselves and setting protective boundaries. If that's the case with you, allow yourself to feel the guilt, knowing what it really is, toxic guilt, and just take care of yourself anyway. You'll feel much better on the other side. Here are some more feelings. Toxic sadness is like depression and despair. Nothing gets taken care of. It just stays stuck in your memory and starts being like a toxic cesspool in there. Healthy sadness tells you to grieve your loss, get it out. And it also makes you more grateful for what you have while you have it. Toxic hurt is when you start identifying with your pain, like I would be nothing without my pain, or this is what defines who I am, or maybe the pain serves some kind of an unhealthy, sick purpose, like manipulating others. Healthy hurt is just an indicator that tells you something's wrong, such as the sliver under the skin, and inspires you to look for solutions. Toxic anger wants to hurt others, destroy, control, or get even. Healthy anger, on the other hand, tells you to defend yourself and others from abuse. Positive anger is protective. Even pleasant emotions can be toxic. You may be thinking, how can happy be toxic? Well, it can be. Here's some examples. Using drugs or relationships to make you happy or some other kind of addictive thing. Expecting life should be happy all the time. Healthy happy is balance in all areas of your life, just feeling good. And self-care, satisfying relationships with yourself and others. Toxic peace is peace at all cost. It has the appearance of being peaceful, but you really are under duress. Healthy peace is that you really are safe, loved, cared for, and secure. Love at its worst is enabling, entitlement, and love addiction, and we'll talk about that in the relationship chapter. Healthy love is knowing of your true value based on experiencing God's love for you, then extending that to others. Toxic pride means you know more than God and that you try to be better than others. Healthy pride means that you feel good about accomplishments and a job well done. When you attempt to run from or block out negative feelings, you may be blocking out the positive ones as well, so be careful. Another reason to be in touch with your feelings is this. If these two guys don't find a healthy way of expressing and dealing with their anger towards each other, it may come out in very destructive, roundabout ways later. It's kind of like this. When water is not allowed a direct release, it finds an indirect way to come out. In the same way, suppressing feelings may show up down the road as depression, anxiety, conflict in relationships, turning to drugs or alcohol to medicate, and all sorts of things like that. Oh, here's another one. Baffling health conditions that can't be resolved with medication or surgery. Just don't make any sense. In extreme cases where people are not in touch with their feelings, such as addicts or sociopaths, they may have no awareness of the pain they're inflicting on others and the path of destruction they are leaving behind. Instead of blocking them, find healthy ways to release feelings. I'm going to give you some ideas of how to vent feelings. Now, though venting can be unpleasant, it will not kill you. So, venting can start out pretty painful because you're experiencing the full impact of the emotion that you'd rather avoid. As you allow yourself to vent, it may seem overwhelming. I can't handle this. Maybe at the peak you might think, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. But then the emotion begins to lose some of its power. I might live through this. Then you may begin to notice yourself feeling somewhat better and get the reward of your hard labor at the end, which of course is relief. So even though the task of venting can be unpleasant for a while, it's not as painful as leaving those feelings inside to be experienced long term. Holding in the negativity behaves like lava collecting in the belly of a volcano. The pressure builds and builds until finally one day it may blow. And in this guy's case, we could call that blowing his top. Some poor soul may be wondering what he did so wrong to bring on such a vicious reaction, but it's just pent-up emotions that should have been released a long time ago. So here's a few ideas of how to vent feelings in a safe way. Try punching out your feelings on a punching bag or a pillow or a mattress. Talk to an empty chair. Pretend the person you have bad feelings towards is in it. You don't have to mince words when no one is listening. Talk to a counselor or a friend who will listen without judgment and without spreading gossip all over the neighborhood. Write out your emotions on a paper. This one is really effective. I really like using this one. But make sure that you destroy the writing after. Don't vent on a computer, as you don't want anybody else to see it. And as I understand, you could always have a record of what you've written on a computer. Try running it out. Just think about pounding out your emotions into the ground as you run, or do some other kind of physical activity. Yell your feelings out in a private, secluded place. Now we're going to assume this man is not driving the car as he's venting. Cry them out. It's been said that tears are liquid emotion. Let the feelings go out in the tears. And on the other side can be much needed relief. You may have to do this occasionally, but give yourself the gift of releasing. Your long-term inner peace is worth it. It's not wrong to have negative emotions. It's wrong to wallow and stay stuck in them. Here's some rules for releasing feelings. Acknowledge and validate feelings such as, I can see you're angry, or it's okay to be sad. Show empathy for others who are experiencing negative feelings such as, I'm sorry this is so hard for you. Own your own feelings. Don't blame anyone or anything else. Don't say things like, you make me feel. Don't act out on your feelings. Vent out your feelings to a manageable level before attempting any kind of confrontation. When venting or expressing feelings, don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others, and don't hurt property. Keep good emotional boundaries intact. Don't try to manage other people's feelings and don't expect anyone else to manage yours. And guard yourself from emotional darts that come from others. One of the challenges for externally dependent people is not taking on other people's stuff, which includes feelings. Obviously, this yellow guy is taking on the feelings of others, and he's not even in touch with his own. Part of being fully aware of yourself is to keep your own genuine feelings separate from others. Here's an example. Let's say you're with a whole group of really depressed people. You can be giving them sympathy, but not becoming depressed yourself. There's a separateness there. That's good emotional boundaries. People with poor emotional boundaries can easily be manipulated by other people's feelings as well. Here's an example. I heard a story of an excessively obese woman who was bedridden, couldn't even get out of bed because she was in danger of dying. She was so big. But she was continually fed junk food by her family members because they were afraid she would get mad if they didn't. They were all controlled by her feeling of anger. Don't compare your pain to someone else's. I had it worse, so you shouldn't feel bad. Don't punish, scold, or make fun of a person for expressing feelings. Don't make decisions based on fear of other people's feelings. For example, I have to marry this woman because my family will be devastated if I don't. Don't think the worst about feelings, such as, this pain will never end, or I'm always going to feel this bad. Don't assume that you know how others feel, such as saying, I know how you feel. It's better to ask, how do you feel? And then let them tell you. Don't act strong and behave as if nothing is wrong when you're hurting, except on certain occasions, like if you're still at work, then just save those feelings until you get to a private place later where you can vent them. Don't hold on to grief as a way of showing loyalty or love for the lost loved one. Don't discount feelings such as, it doesn't feel that bad, when you know it really does. Don't use emotions as a way of punishing or manipulating others. Don't carry others' feelings. It's like carrying the weight of the world, but you can't do anything to fix it. Here's some examples of carried feelings. The oldest son of a single mother carries what should be her feelings of responsibility for the family, and then of course suffers with unexplainable anxiety attacks. Mom is depressed because her daughter is getting divorced. It's a fine skill for mom to develop, to go on living a happy life and just let her daughter deal with her own feelings about going through the divorce. The father is a felon, and the son assumes that he is damaged goods because he has taken on his father's guilt. The son needs to know that he can give back the guilt to his dad and choose his own life, because carrying someone else's feelings does not help them, and it will hopelessly burden you. Carried fear becomes terror, carried anger becomes rage, carried guilt becomes toxic shame, and carried grief becomes despair. The solution is good emotional boundaries. If you manage your feelings well, anger can become strength because it motivates you to correct injustice. Sadness can become appreciation for all you have, because sometimes you don't appreciate your blessings until you've lost them. Fear can become safety because it motivates you to take action to keep yourself safe. It also inspires dependency on God because there's little safety in this world except with God. Shame can become humility. Guilt can become values because breaching your values pricks your guilt and moves you to make better choices in the future. Hurt and depression tell you to seek out the cause and find a solution. Peace tells you that you are in balance. Keep doing what you're doing. Here's some irrational beliefs about feelings. People will like me better if I only express positive emotion. Truth? Try liking yourself. It works a whole lot better. It's wrong to express strong emotion. Truth? Strong emotion is not the problem. It's how it's delivered that makes it useful or toxic. It's abusive to tell people how I feel. Truth? Expressing feelings is not abusive, but expressing them in an aggressive way can be. It's my job to set others straight when they express feelings inappropriately. Truth. Rarely is it your job to set others straight about how they express emotions. Exceptions would be people in the power over position, such as a parent, principal, or boss, if emotions are being disruptive to others. However, what you can do is let others know what you will do, such as hanging up the phone or walking away, if they can't be more respectful about how they are expressing their feelings to you. It is shameful to have certain feelings. Truth, feelings are a reaction to thoughts, past and present. Perhaps acting out on some of those feelings would be shameful, but the feelings themselves are just giving you honest feedback. It is abusive to tell people how they should feel. That is the truth. Feelings get you in touch with the real you, which includes your intuitions, or what some might call your gut feelings. Here's an example of how your intuitive voice might work. This snake oil will heal you, blah. Logically, it sounds good, but it doesn't feel right. This guy's instincts or gut feelings are telling him more than his logic. Now, if he were externally dependent, he may ignore his intuitive voice and buy the snake oil just to keep everybody happy. But when you're true to yourself, you let your logic, feelings, and intuition be your guide, and not others' opinions. Steve Jobs said, "Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition." Intuition takes you outside of the box. The challenge is paying attention to it and taking it seriously. Teach your conscious mind to be still and to listen to your inner voice. You may be surprised the well of wisdom that lies within you if you'll just listen and be attentive. Children start out expressing feelings openly, but are often punished for having them. This may be why children learn to reject or hide those parts of themselves that feel bad. By the time this guy becomes an adult, many parts of himself may be lost due to his own rejection of them. Recovery is healing your emotional slivers, past and present, so every part of you can be relieved of their burden and reclaim their preciousness, and then return to their natural state of being a part of you. The best and easiest way I know to resolve any kind of toxic emotions or memories that they spring from is SRT, Subconscious Repairing Therapy. And you can find out everything you need to know about that by logging on to findingthehealer.com and watch the introductory videos. To feel more pleasant feelings, let yourself feel the unpleasant ones just long enough to release them. If you don't have the benefit of using SRT, then use the suggestions I gave you earlier on releasing negative emotions. You will have to experience more pain, but they still work and they're available to everyone. So before I tie this up, I want to throw out this very important question. What about decisions? Should you ever make your decisions based on emotion alone? My advice is not a no, it's a hell no. Because emotions are fleeting, finicky, and often inaccurate. However, I would let them play into the decision-making process. Here's why. Let's say a guy is about to pop the question to his girlfriend. She meets all of his requirements on the checklist, but he just doesn't feel good about it. I would pay attention to those feelings. They may be trying to tell him something that he just can't put his finger on. He should at least let those feelings influence him to take more time before he pops the question. However, the flip side is, if a woman were to make a lifelong decision based on how her boyfriend makes her feel, she could be getting herself into a lot of trouble. You see, misogynists, narcissists, psychopaths, and people like that will flatter, dote upon, and spoil the woman they're courting, which is called love bombing, to win her affections. If she falls into that, "oh, how he makes me feel" trap, marries the guy and has children with him, she could be in real trouble in a few years. And that works the other way too, because sometimes it's the woman who's the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But just the point is, just never make decisions on feelings alone. Never, never, never. It's best to make life-altering decisions based mostly on logic, research, advice from reputable people like a premarital counselor or something like that, and a whole lot of time. Feelings play a big part in our lives, but they need to be kept in balance with logic. If you haven't watched the Love and Life Skills video on thinking, you need to. These two videos go hand in hand and play on each other, so try to watch them both. So that's it for now. I hope you learned something that will help to empower your life. That's my goal. So take care and ciao for now.